So whenever you post anything online, email, content on LinkedIn or any other platform, you have to put yourself in shoes of your audience. And from their perspective, ask yourself a question, so what? You're selling some, you're saying something, you're telling them something, and then the question is like, so what? I see so much content out there that is surface level content that doesn't really bring any value. It's like taking a picture on Instagram of your lunch, and I'm like, okay, and so what? Like, what? Why are you showing this to me? Are you trying to impress me with your avocado toast, or are you sharing a recipe for avocado toast? Because if you're just sharing a food that you went to a restaurant and cafe and you had avocado toast, like, I'm like, so what? At the same time, if you take a picture of avocado toast and say, hey, these guys, this cafe has an amazing avocado toast, it's this price, blah, 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 like, at least you give me some sort of value. So whenever you do anything, whenever you talk to your clients, whenever you talk online, whenever you do any sort of content, make sure it's valuable. And the way you kind of test it is by asking yourself a question through a lens of your audience. So what? What's in it for me? Right? And the other approach, kind of like to go a little bit deeper into this, is to keep asking yourself a question, so what, or like, what's in it for me, like a couple times. It's like the 5 whys of Toyota, right? Where it's the concept comes from the production space, where you ask yourself, an engineer or whoever should ask themselves a question, why? Let's say something broke. Okay, why? Right? To go, and you ask that question why 5 times, so that you finally go to the root cause of the problem. And the idea is to really go down the rabbit hole of understanding what is truly causing the issue. And so you can instead of saying like, oh, the door broke, okay, cool, you fix you fix the door, right? But if you ask yourself a question like, why did the door break? Okay, it broke because of the hinges. Why did the hinges break? Well, because of this. Why did the screw break? Well, because of we tightened it too hard, right? As you go actually find the true reason of why did the door break. So instead of like changing the door, you end up changing the power of which you use to tighten the screw, or the size of the hole in the wall, right? And the same idea kind of is when it comes to asking yourself a question, so what, and what's in it for me, right? If you ask yourself that question a few times about the same part of your content, then you will actually reach the true source of value, right? And so whenever I'm writing an email or trying to write a post on LinkedIn, or recently when I wrote the report on the State of Consulting 2025, which is a 70 pages document. I was not planning to write this long document, but I kept asking myself a question, so what? What's in it for me? And from something that was supposed to be a quick lead magnet on LinkedIn, by the way, that lead magnet, if you listen to the other podcast when I said about sell the idea first and build later, sell first, build later, that's exactly what I did with the report. I had the data for the report. I had the insights for the report. I had all the interviews for the report, but I did not write the report until I had enough commitment, enough interest from my audience. And it turned out to be 200,000 impressions, over 2,000 comments asking for the report. When I saw I have 20, 30,000 impressions, when I saw I had 300 comments on it, I'm like, I think I should write this report, right? And so, but back to the so what question, is that I kept asking myself a question. I wrote the initial couple of pages and I'm like, well, I promised a report. Couple pages is not a report. That's number one. So I would be delivering something I would be under delivering, The lead magnet should never be 70 pages, by the way. Like lead magnets typically, and especially the new approach to lead magnets, which is a micro magnet, should be something that's highly tangible, highly digestible, very practical, you can implement right away. But that report was 70 pages. But that's not the point. That's besides the point. Actually, it had a better effect, if you ask me. So I started asking myself a question after those 5 pages. I'm like, okay, well, I wrote this, and then if I was a reader, I was asking myself a question like, so what? Okay, what's in it for me? Like, what's in it from me? Like, just insight you're sharing, like, okay, well, 72% of people are, experiencing scope creep, and then, like, so what? What can I do with this thing? If there's 72% of people, like, that's just data. That's just like, okay, and then, right? So I kept asking myself the question, like, okay, what then? We have to tell them, like, why is this happening? And what is the solution, right? And so I ended up creating a report that has 3 sections. So like, one is the state of the, of the consulting. The other one is like, okay, why is this happening? What are some of the benchmarks, and like how you can compare yourself to others, so you understand where you sit, and then what to do about this, like how to implement, how to fix the problems that you might be experiencing also, as the other, as the rest of the industry. And so that ended up being this big thing. And the only reason why this happened is because I kept asking myself, so what? What's the value? What's in it for me? And if you write a newsletter or a blog article or a LinkedIn post or are scripting your video, always ask yourself that question, like, what's in it for me? So what? Why should I care? As the reader, as the recipient or the receiver of that content, right? That way you will ensure that what you actually have, to offer in terms of content is valuable and practical, for your audience. Otherwise, it's just noise.